to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to Dr. Mumbi's spiritual show. Here I am with a word of encouragement. I've been getting a lot of emails from people talking about how lonely they feel, how disconnected they feel, and how literally, with everything that's going on around the world, they feel like it's them against the world. But I just wanted to say, you are not alone, beloveds. And the reason you feel so alone is because you've been made to focus so much on the physical world and draw so much out of yourself that you're actually missing out on the spiritual reality. Because you got this. If you're in tune spiritually, you got this, and you're gonna make it through whatever is thrown at you in the seasons to come, whether it's the global famine that the group thought is gonna have to deal with. Because remember, everything is mental first, beloveds. Our thoughts create our experience, and we are enmeshed in the group thought, which is creating the group experience. And so if we want to escape, if we don't want to be part of the Babylon system and we want to literally escape the Babylon system, then we have to get out of that group consciousness that is perpetuating Babylon. And you see, Babylon survives and has survived and thrived on fear. And the fear is about to be turned up, beloveds. It's about to be turned up. That's why, already people are so fearful because you've been made to distrust yourself. You've been made to rely on an external source for all your needs. For food, you go to a supermarket and buy it. For your health needs, you have to go to someone and explain how you feel, then they kind of guess what they're going to give you. Education, you go to schools, you go to colleges. All of this is just indoctrination, and it was all about bringing you out of yourself. And you see, if you are reliant on anyone for anything, then they have a power over you because they can switch that thing off and you'll panic. And so fear right now is the real pandemic, beloveds. Because people are doing so much, are doing the most out of fear. And they're projecting that fear out onto others, which is why I say get out of the cities. It's not just because the cities are going to collapse and that's where Babylon is centered. But it's because of that group think that you'll constantly be battling. Instead of using that energy to create your life, you'll constantly be using your energy to battle the onslaught of the fear and the anxiety and distrust of themselves, of others. People don't trust their opinion, so they're shocked when you trust your own. People fear, aren't even connected to their intuition, so they can't understand how you are connected to yours. But it is so important to recognize that you're not alone. And the way to do that is to really just, dial down your life and focus on the present, because each and every one of us right now, beloveds, we've moved into a special season, a special time. They call it the Aquarian age, or, it's just we've shifted into a new vibration, which means new thoughts are available to us, new energies, new spirits are available to us. And many of us have received added reinforcements from our ancestral team, from our spiritual team, our guardian angels, and different, spirits that we are connected to, different nations that we are connected to or that we've passed through. Especially this is for the chosen ones who have been here several times, and they chose themselves to come here. They volunteered to come here at such a time as this. And so the only way to even understand what I'm saying is to deepen your spiritual life. Go deeper. You receive instructions, and it sounds sometimes it can sound like a conversation, sometimes it can sound like someone's talking to you. And that's where you get your inspiration, your ideas. And it's not just you, it's like on the other side of the veil over your first eye, there's a whole spiritual team that is constantly giving you ideas, pumping you up, encouraging you, trying to present all kinds of supernatural occurrences in your life. You never walk alone spiritually. And you see, if that's why you have to refine yourself, like all this is about is you becoming the best version of yourself as quickly as possible. And it's a continuous work, but for you to really go through that intense awakening initially, it is so critical. Because you see, we never walk alone. So whatever level we are, there's always spirits that are interacting with us. And if we're on a low vibe, then we'll be attracting, fearful spirits, or spirits that want to put us in fear, nefarious spirits that feed off that fear. And so the voices we'll be hearing, because you'll always be hearing voices, beloveds. There's always an interaction, whether you hear it here, whether you hear it here, and there's different things. Some people can see as well. So they see the different spirits and energies walking around, because the veil is very thin, but we've just been taught that only this is real. So then only this becomes real for us. So as you continue to refine yourself, the spirits that you're interacting with that you may not even be seeing will become more benevolent, more in your favor. And so you have to do the work, beloveds. The only way to realize that you are not alone is to take that first step. Of refining yourself, beloveds. That first step of connecting with your ancestors, that first step of creating some kind of spiritual practice. You don't have to follow any of the modes, meditation, do this, sit quietly. No, just the one rule that you should follow is to be in nature, if you can be. And if you can't, then to be in a place of peace, or at least a place of silence, where you can be with yourself. But so much, happens. There's no manual right now, because many of us have done this so many times, and it's our time to awaken rapidly. We're being fast-tracked. Because as I said, we're not here for the destruction of this reality, but we're here for the restoration of next. And I definitely have to do a show on how the world will be rapidly restored. You are not alone. But stop tuning into the wrong channel, beloveds. Stop putting your energy in things that don't give you that upliftment. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? It's easy for me to say that, you are not alone and connect to your spiritual team. But if you're lonely, I know that, or you feeling extremely alone, I know that can be really hard. And the thing is, beloveds, you see, we're in a mental marathon. And sometimes the worst is not even to be alone, but it's to be lonely in a family or lonely in a crowd where you just feel so misunderstood. Like everyone has taken the mark and you don't want it. So it's created friction, or whatever the situation is. There's so many black sheep who have gotten in touch and just said they feel like their family doesn't understand them on this level, on that level, etc., etc. and they just feel so alienated. And they even have to, sometimes you even find yourself like hiding who you are or playing down your personality or taking on a certain persona maybe from childhood that they all try and always put you in. So loneliness, you could be married with children and you're extremely lonely. Loneliness doesn't mean that it's you're surrounded by people and so or whatever. It's a mental state, beloveds. And it has a spiritual root. That loneliness stems from a spiritual disconnection and a misunderstanding of exactly what is going on. But, for those who feel very alone at such a time as this, know that it has to happen. Most of the times when you're in transition from one reality of who you are to another reality of who you are, or one dimension of who you are to another dimension of who you are, you go through that. You have to kind of be separated so that in your becoming, others aren't throwing their, different definitions or limitations onto your new birthing. So the one thing I would say is the first thing is be aware of what you're focusing on. Because the emptiness sometimes comes from focusing on empty things around us that really we know have no soul. They're not soul food. We possess a soul that needs to be fed. That's why we're here, for the soul to experience. So really be aware of what you're focusing on. The second thing I would say is get busy. There's so much for you to do. And I think there is a certain paralysis that comes from this system, the way the system is set up, where people feel like, the inaction. I can't do this because I don't have money. I can't do that because I don't have this. And it's all like we fail to realize that things need to happen, even visualizing your next. There is so much for you to do. And especially at such a time as this, with everything that's going on, there is so much for us to be doing in terms of prepping, in terms of getting information where we can become more self-sustaining, in terms of even just scripting, writing out what the future we want for ourselves, how we see ourselves, maybe escaping Babylon or creating our own off-grid home. And there's so much for us to be doing, beloveds. So many skills for us to be picking up, so much research for us to be doing, so much information for us to be saving for the next season. So keep busy. That's one thing I would say. Keep busy. The third thing is create some kind of spiritual routine, beloveds, especially in the mornings. But if you could do it in the mornings and the evenings, but especially when you first wake up, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. But, giving gratitude for life, giving gratitude for good health, giving gratitude for the fact that you are one of the few that is actually awake. Giving thanks for all the wonderful things that you see in your life, because what you thank, what you focus on, what you give gratitude to is a signal to the universe to bring more into your life. And then put your petitions before, before Mama Nature, before the Most High Creator, before your own higher God being. And then sit and wait for the answers. Just sit in silence, even if it's for 5-10 minutes, beloveds. And if you could actually do this, like at before the crack of dawn, you'll find that a lot of your day starts different. Because you have to conquer your day before the fear and the group think takes over your day and directs you in another way. And also know that you're not alone. There is a soul family out there. You weren't born into this world just like you. There's a soul family. You keep coming back over and over again. And if you haven't met anyone that you feel could be your soul family, start to put that out there, beloveds. You know, we don't ask enough. We don't ask enough, beloveds. And we ask too, our asking is too limited. We've been taught to ask for so little in our lives, beloveds. But you can command the universe. You don't even have to ask it, you can command by stating a thing as though it already exists to bring certain people, experiences, outcomes into your life. It may not happen the first time, it may not happen the second time, but it's something, it's like a muscle you have to improve, you have to work on. But learn to petition and to ask until you see that thing manifest, whatever that thing may be. And if you get more into your own interactive spiritual world, beloveds, you'll feel less lonely because you'll be more busy and you'll realize, you'll just feel like a warm blanket around you, like you really are not alone. That's one of the greatest lies out there. Refine what you're eating, because sometimes certain foods, from sugars to meats, can give us anxiety, fear, etc., etc. And as I always say, protect the gates, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the sexual gate, more importantly, so that you're not letting in anything of a low vibe. Because we're in the best of times, but for many, these are the worst of times. And it's all about perspective. Tuko pamoja.